Hey, sports porchers! It's your hockey Jesus, and I'm back with the Stanley Cup 2024 Finals. Game 5 is in the books, and we still do not have a champion of the NHL, thanks to one Connor McDavid. Well, Edmonton did it again, and they are definitely rolling. That's two games in a row where they've just been able to get to their game before Florida knew what hit them. And, when you're playing that well, you're going to win games. When you have Connor McDavid flying like he is out there, God, it's just so great to watch. These last few hockey games have just been so much fun to watch, especially the last one because it wasn't so one sided. Florida actually did start to get to their game in the second and third period. And I think that's good news for Florida, even though clearly they would rather be partying with the Stanley Cup now in Florida and not making that 2,800-mile trek to the great north. But that's what they're going to have to do, and they're going to have to play in a game 6. But first, let's look at the Edmonton 5-3 win down in Sunrise. Actually, believe it or not, Edmonton got out to a really good start. 10 seconds in, Connor Brown gets it behind the goal. He sees Janmark streaking down the end. Listerine just kind of blew a tire, it looked like, in the corner. And Bob made a really good save. And I thought, with Bob making that save early, I thought he was going to be on his game, his A game. He played a good game. I mean, Bob did not have a terrible game, but maybe terrible by his standards. But and then a minute and a half into the game, about a minute later, Barkov to Ekblad. Barkov was in the corner. I don't know. He just kind of got the puck and kind of went around the guy. Ekblad comes streaking in, and honestly, I think that's a good key for the Florida when their defensemen are active. I think they're a much scarier team. Ekblad coming in early. But Skinner, right there for the save, made a glove save. He didn't get it all, but he got enough of it. Didn't go in. Dove on the puck, for the rebound. And those were two really good saves early. And I thought maybe we'd see ourselves a goalie battle. And when Florida went on the power play, I'm thinking, well, Edmonton's penalty kill has been stellar this whole playoffs. I mean, it's not just been against Florida, it's been against everybody they've played against. And sure enough, Connor Brown does it again. He gets the goal this time with the shorty. What the heck was Montour thinking making that pass? You cannot hesitate when you get the puck in the corner like that. They send it across the ice. He hesitated. Connor Brown was already making his way towards that area, got a stick on it. Barkov, he's flat footed. There's no way Barkov's going to catch him. By the way, I don't think Barkov's hurt, but I definitely do not think Barkov's 100%. Barkov in the first game, I remember thinking, man, his speed is something else. He did not have that speed to chase down Connor Brown. Plus, he probably didn't want to take a penalty. But Connor Brown made a really nice move to the backhand, got it around Bob. Bob got a skate on it, just didn't get enough of the skate on it. Puck goes in, 1-0 Edmonton. And that was it for the first period. Really, the first period was kind of a snooze fest after the first 5 minutes. And Florida fell asleep. They were 14 minutes without a shot on goal. Come on, Florida. What the hell is that about? If you want to win the cup, you can never take your foot off the pedal. You always have to come after it. I thought that was a very bad stretch for Florida. I thought that in the first period, they needed to come out a little bit faster, and Edmonton takes advantage. And by the way, that's the way you win these games. You take advantage of the small opportunities you're given because Florida's not going to make very many of those mistakes. And that's what Edmonton did in the first period. So 2 seconds left in Edmonton's power play. They got a power play right at the end of the first period. And what you know, Bouchard shoots it. I actually thought Bouchard got the goal, but a little bit of more puck luck. Edmonton seems to be getting the puck luck off of the inside of Hyman's leg into the net, back right behind Bob. What are you going to do? I mean, there's no way to even talk about that. It's just puck luck, and Edmonton had been getting it 2-0. And about 3 minutes later, Bouchard, look, Bouchard, I didn't think had a really good game, but when I went back and I looked at the highlights, he actually did play a pretty good game offensively. He flipped it to the ozone. Fogel went to go get it. By the way, kudos for Knobloch for pairing Fogel with McDavid. That's really what kickstarted all this McDavid stuff, by the way. I can't believe it, but once you find that right pairing, forget it. Superstars know how to do it. And I think Fogel's been great. By the way, he chased down this puck. All he did was give it back to McDavid. That's it. Once he gave it back to McDavid, what are you going to do? McDavid's got the puck, shoots it in Bob's skates, and it's 2-0. That made it 3-0, and 15 minutes left in the second. And honestly, at that point, Florida looked like deer in the headlights. Like, oh man, here we go again. Only 25 minutes into a 60-minute game, and they're down 3-0. But never fear, Hollowell it gave a gift to Erod in the ozone, got it to Kachuk, who got behind. By the way, this is where Kachuk really got to his game. About from here towards the end of the game, Kachuk was on his A game. He played great. Before that, he's not been disappearo, but he really got to his scoring, and he buried it 3-1, top shelf, great score by Kachuk there. And literally like a minute and a half later, Kachuk drops a puck to Ekman Larson. Say that 3 times fast. Anyway, Ekman Larson shoots it really hard, but Skinner made the save. That was, I thought, a really key save for Skinner. It calmed him down again. I thought that was a really key save. And then here we go again. Power play. Florida had too many power plays. They gave up too many power plays to Edmonton this game. I didn't really I didn't really understand the officiating this game. I thought that that embellishment call by Kachuk on the trip, I didn't really like that. So anyway, power play for McDavid. Well, you know what happens when McDavid gets the puck, even if he's in his own end. Zigzag, bing bang, boom boom, goes past 3 guys, and here comes Corey Perry, fresh off the bench, and it's in the back of the net. That was a signature play by McDavid, maybe the best of the playoffs, certainly the best of the Stanley Cup Finals. How do you stick handle like that? Only McDavid can do that. I know he was going against Kulikov and Mikkola, not the best defensemen out there, but hey, they're on the power play, and that's why. It was at the end of the power play, so they switched out defensemen, and that's what happened. McDavid took advantage of it. That was the backbreaker there. 4-1. That was an absolute backbreaker. I thought it was going to be, we were looking at like an 8-goal run here, but sure enough, 15 seconds later, the very next shift, Erod and Bennett were battling. Montour gets a shot from the point. Erod finds the rebound back in the net. That really kept them in it. 8 minutes left in the second period. And actually, after that, there was really nothing that happened in the second period. I really know that Florida was pushing to get to that 4-3. They haven't won very many games down from multiple goal games. That's just not the way they play. So I know they were pushing real hard, but couldn't get the goal. Good for Edmonton to just stick with it. There weren't a lot of really good opportunities, not a lot of good highlight saves at that point from Skinner. But third period starts, and Kachuk and Bennett get the cycling again. 16 minutes left in the game, and Kachuk does the same thing. Drops the pass for Ekman Larson. This time he buries it. He gets it past Skinner. It's 4-2. And I think there's going to be trouble, because I really thought at that point, that's it. All they got to do is get another one. And they didn't. They really didn't get it. I mean, 13:30 left in the game. Kulak actually had an end-to-end move, got it over to Nugent Hopkins, and Bob made a save. But really, from that point on, Florida just they were really pressing hard, but they didn't really get any signature attempt. There were a couple on the power play, but Edmonton's doing a really good job of making sure they have 3 guys in front of the net. And I think that's really been the key for Edmonton, not allowing Verhage, and definitely Reinhardt to get a good look. I thought Reinhardt was a little bit invisible during this game, and that's the thing that they're going to have to fix if they're going to win. Minute 20 left. Empty net goes off the post, and then with 20 seconds left, Kachuk makes an excellent diving save for it not to go in, but McDavid does a better job of gathering the puck and getting the empty net. His second on the night. Look, McDavid is the king right now. He's the absolute superstar of these finals. But Florida's still only one game away from winning this whole thing. Let's look at the stats a little bit. There's not much telling here. Florida had the edge in shots, 32 to 24, mostly because they had 26 shots in basically the last half of the game. And Edmonton only had 14. They ended up with 24. The stat that really got my eye, and this doesn't happen very often, I thought it was very interesting on the faceoffs that Edmonton only had 11 offensive zone faceoffs and Florida had 29 offensive zone faceoffs. What is that telling me? That's telling me essentially that Edmonton's not getting a lot of shots on goal. And when they are, um, Bob isn't grabbing it and holding it. He wants to get Florida going on the rush. And that doesn't seem to be working. On the opposite side of that, for some reason, Skinner's grabbing it and he's stopping it. And that means you're going to get a lot of offensive zone chances. And actually, Florida had the edge in the faceoff percentage. So you think that would have worked out well for Florida, but it really didn't. And I think that just is I think it's attributed to this. Edmonton wants to rush. So if they're starting off in their offensive zone, they're not good. Florida doesn't mind playing the cycling game, but honestly, I think Florida's better off with the rush. If they're going to play the cycling game, then they got to drop their defenseman down. And their defenseman, Montour especially, has been pretty invisible during the last two games where they've been losing. And I think that's probably the difference in why Edmonton has made a run at this. Here's the deal. How the hell is Florida going to win this? Well, clearly they got to do something with McDavid. And playing in Edmonton is not going to be helpful because they're not going to get the last change. So they're going to have to do something with an unexpected person. It's not going to be Ekblad. It's probably not going to be Forsling. It's probably going to have to be somebody like Montour. Ooh, that's going to be a difficult assignment for Montour to do anything against McDavid. In fact, I think if I was an Edmonton fan, I'd be pretty excited about that opportunity. They're going to have to find a way to shadow McDavid, whether with it's Bennett, maybe they put Kachuk on him a little bit more. Bennett and Kachuk, I think, can do a good job. I know they've been trying to get Barkov out there, but I think Kachuk and Bennett might be a better matchup against McDavid at this point, and let Barkov do something more on the offensive end. That's where I would go. I would probably go that route, but you got to do something to stop McDavid. By the way, um, Bennett and Bennett and Verhage and have not really done much from an offensive standpoint because they've been so focused on the defensive standpoint. Edmonton's going to win. Let's see. Florida, they need to stay out of the penalty box, clearly. I mean, this is like bread and butter here. Edmonton's power play, 2 for 5 in the last one. They got one before that. You know, they've been winning the specialty teams. They got 2 shorthanded goals in the last 2 games. Florida needs to play a clean game. They need to stay out of the penalty box, and they need to get a power play goal. I think that would really be a big boost for this Florida team. And the key to it all is Bobrovsky. He's got to find a way to hold Edmonton to 3 goals or less. No team has beaten the Florida Panthers when the other team has only scored 3 goals or less. That's it. You got to get some puck luck. I think Florida getting the first goal would be big. I think it would be dangerous to go up by more than a goal. I would play a tight game, and I would make sure that it's a tight game. So Edmonton doesn't feel like they can just let loose, because if they do and they make a mistake and you can catch them in that mistake, they're not going to open it up unless they get down 2 or 3 goals. Then they're going to have to. That might be the key for Florida. If they do that, then Skinner could be exposed. But Skinner's been great. He's 5-0 when facing elimination. Skinner's been great when it comes down to that. And he has gotten better as the series has been going on. Bob's been the opposite. How is Edmonton going to win? Look, just keep going where you're going. I know that in the second period and the third period, it felt like Florida was taking it to Edmonton, but the goals were pretty much 1-1 from the eight minute spot in the second period left on. So the last 28 minutes of the game, 1-1, you'll take that Edmonton every time. And, I know it was an empty net goal, but when you're up by that much, that's what you do. You score the empty net goal. Skinner's going to have to be great again. And I think he can be, honestly. He's shown in these games, he's shown resilience to be able to do it. And Edmonton, they need to do the opposite. They don't want to score only 3. They got to get 4 goals. I think that's going to be the key for Edmonton winning. Do I think they're going to do it? No. I actually think this game belongs to Florida. I feel like they got to their game in the second and third period. And here's the thing. Before the series started, I said it was going to be Florida in 7 or Edmonton in 5. Clearly, Edmonton was not going to win in 5 after losing the first 3. That was over. My rationale for those two were completely off, but I can still get it through the back door if there is a game 7. So I wouldn't be disappointed to see a game 7. We haven't seen an overtime game yet in these Stanley Cup Finals. That's a little bizarre. I think I didn't go back and look. I'll check that out for the next time I see you guys. By the way, thanks for subscribing. I saw we had some new subscribers. Appreciate you guys. Tell all your friends, leave a comment, hit that bell. You'll know when I'm going to be on, but you know what I'm going to be on anyways, on after every Stanley Cup final game. Here are a couple tidbits for you. Florida's only had a 4-game losing streak twice this year. It was back in January from the 13th to the 19th. And in that 4-game streak, there were actually 2 overtime games that they lost. They also had a streak near the end of the season, March 14th through the 23rd. They had a 4-game losing streak. The last one, actually, they lost on a shootout. I don't know. I don't feel like Florida has the ability to lose 4 games in a row, but according to the statistics, they've done it twice this year, so there's really no reason to think that they can't. The other thing that I think people have failed to recognize, that before Florida went on this 2-game losing streak, they did win 6 in a row. They won 3 to close out the Rangers, and they won 3 right off the bat in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think they might have been a little gassed, and I think the jitters got to them. I feel like they got to their game in the second half. Edmonton, ride the wave, baby. If you're going to do it, just don't even think about the fact that maybe Florida has made a little bit of a back. Keep riding that wave. My last tidbit for you concerns Corey Perry. Corey Perry scored in the game against Edmonton. I'm sorry, he plays for Edmonton, so he can't score against his own team. Although I did see Evgeny Malkin do that this year for the Penguins. I don't suggest you try it, Corey Perry. But Corey Perry scored. He has scored now for 5 teams in the Stanley Cup Finals. By the way, that breaks his own record. He was the only one to score 4 different teams in the Stanley Cup Finals. He did it with the Ducks in 2007. He did it with the Stars in 2021. He did it with Montreal 2020. Montreal in 2021, Tampa Bay in 2022, and now with Edmonton in 2024. Did you know that the last 3 teams that he scored for, the Stars, the Habs, and Tampa Bay, they all lost the Stanley Cup Final? So I'm happy for Corey Perry to score a goal in the Stanley Cup Finals, but I hope that doesn't mean bad things for Edmonton. My final tidbit for you before I leave you, and hey, tomorrow night, Game 6 in Edmonton. The Moss Pit's going to be going crazy. It's going to be a fantastic game. You got to be watching it. Hey, the Cup has been in the house 2 times in a row, and Florida can't grab it. Can they get it this time up in Edmonton? look, the Pittsburgh Penguins, every time they've won the Stanley Cup, have never won it on home ice. I think it's really hard to win on home ice. You just press too hard. I think you're a little bit more relaxed when you're in the other team's building. It's just the hockey Jesus pontificating here. One thing I have to say is, if Florida does manage to raise the cup tomorrow night, I believe Connor McDavid will still be the Conn-Smythe trophy winner. That is, unless Bobrovsky somehow managed to pitch a shutout, like a 1-0 shutout, 2-0, 3-0 shutout, where he just looks great and basically stop McDavid in his tracks. I think that's the only way that Bob could steal the Conn-Smythe away from McDavid. He's only like 3 points away from the highest point total ever. I think it's actually 6 points, but he could easily get that, and if they play 2 more games. That's it from the Hockey Jesus. We got at least one more game, maybe 2, a game 7. That would be glorious. Alleluia. Praise the Lord. And hey, if you like what you hear, tell your friends about it. I'll be back after game 6. So until then, everyone, enjoy the hockey, and let's see that Stanley Cup raised either Friday night or Saturday night.